Hey everyone, it's Jennine, your local realtor here in the Edmonton market. Today we're going to go over what happened in the month of April. We're a little behind this week. Another daycare plague hit the house, but we're doing good. So let's get going on this. Before we get started though, just as a reminder, this report is based on only the city of Edmonton itself. There's a lot of little cities and surrounding communities around here, St. Albert, Spruce Grove, Beaumont, all those places are not included in this report. However, we still do work there, so if you have any questions specifically about those areas, please let me know. I'm always happy to help. All right, let's jump into it. Detached single-family home. So quite a bit of sales this month, almost 33% sold, 67 active listings. So if we look at that in terms of new listings to hit the market versus sold properties, we didn't have as many sales as you would think. And I think we got a little stalled out just because of what was going on in April, tariffs, the election, all the stuff happening creates a little bit of chaos and confusion sometimes. So sometimes that drops a little bit. So if you look, we are just below 1,000 sales. And if you look last year, at this time, we were over 1,000 sales. However, we are still maintaining our average price. So it didn't drop, didn't increase. It just kind of stayed steady this past month. But year to year, we are still above. So almost 10% above from last year at this time. And when things do sell, they sell quickly, only 29 days on market. That's a very quick turnaround. Looking at the price in comparison of previous years, we are still well above previous years. We are the red line here. So quite above where we were previous years. Now that, I would say the dust has settled, but dust hasn't really settled. But now that we know the election, we kind of know a little bit more what's happening. We'll see how everything goes for this next month. Personally, I'm still seeing it being very busy, and I do think that trend will still continue here. So what is selling? If you've been following along for a while, nothing really new to say that between the $300,000 to the $500,000 price point, that is the hot price point. Everything is going pretty quick. Even between $300,000 to $400,000, you can see that the sales are outpacing the listings at this point. Looking at months of inventory. So as a reminder, 4 months worth of inventory is considered a balanced market. Anything higher than 4 months of inventory, that would be a buyer's market. Anything below 4 months of inventory, that is a seller's market. Now, lately, we have been seeing a buyer's market for higher price points. But as you can see, even the higher price points are starting to decrease in inventory, which is shifting over to a seller's market. And of course, those main price points, that $300,000 to $500,000, we have very low inventory, about a month and under a month of inventory. So definitely a seller's market there still. And looking at days on market, those popular ranges, very short days on market, about 20 days on market. And everything is pretty much below 50 days on market. Even some of the higher price points from 500 to 800 is even sitting around 30 days on market. So everything is moving quick despite what is happening in the news, in the world right now. Looking at how many sold at or over list price. So we're still seeing quite a bit, especially in that popular range, 300 to 500. Over 50% of them are selling at or over list price. And the remaining around between 30 to 40% of them are selling at or over list price. Looking at duplexes and townhomes. So just a reminder, these homes can be a part of a condo board or not a part of a condo board. Generally speaking, when they are a part of a condo board, you'll see the price a little lower. When they're not a part, price will be a little higher. So it does kind of skew some numbers a little bit, but remember, this is just a very general overview. So if you have specific questions, let me know. Overall, though, lots of sales in this market, just about 40% sold and 60% active. So looking at new listings versus sold. So we did see quite a bit of sales again this month, and in comparison to last year at this time, we are pretty much almost on track, just below 600 for both. And looking at the average price, it pretty much almost held steady, just like the detached, just a slight increase. However, year to year, we're still at 5.5% increase, and very low days on market too, at 24 days on market. So these are going quick. Looking at the price in terms of previous years, you can see that we're kind of just holding steady at this point, but we still are well above previous year's price point. And what is selling? The price point between 200 to 500 is the most popular range. Again, that 300 to 400. That is the price that everyone is looking for. And looking at months of inventory, almost everything is below 4 months of inventory. So it is a seller's market out there, especially that price between 3 to 400, 3 to 500. That is where we need more inventory. Days on market, everything's going very quickly, mostly but under 30 days for almost all of it. And selling at or over list price, again, below 500,000 is basically 50% are selling at or over the asking price. So apartment condos, a little less sales here at just about 24% sold. So quite a bit new listings in comparison to the sold. This is pretty normal for apartment condos. You'll see that in the previous years too. We did see a little bit of a dip in average price for condos. However, we are still up 6.4% year over year, and pretty quick turnaround at 37 days on market. So looking at the price in comparison of the previous years, we are pretty much holding steady, but we are still well above previous years. The condo market has been doing good in comparison to previous years. What is selling? A most popular range is up to that $300,000 price point, and then it kind of dips off from there. And months of inventory, even though we are seeing new listings, the popular range up to 300,000 is a little low on inventory. Everything else is quite a bit of inventory shifting into a buyer's market for the higher price point. Days on market, the popular price points up to 300, moving fairly quickly at under 40 days, and the higher price points start going a little higher at over 40 days on market. So a little bit different here compared to the other styles of properties. Not as many are selling at or over asking. So if you are looking for a little bit of a deal, looking to get into the market, looking to invest, this is a good spot to be in. Okay, that is just a very general overview of the market, of what happened in April. If you have any questions, please let me know. And remember, this is just a general overview. Things can vary depending on the location, the street, the type of property, the condition of property. Everything influences the market greatly. So if you do have any questions, please let me know. Feel free to reach out, text, email, call, whatever way works. I'm always happy to help. And until next time, see you.